The Neolithic Revolution changed human life deeply. People began farming, domesticating animals, making pottery, storing food, and living in permanent villages instead of moving constantly.
Section 4. Fossils and the Human Ancestors. How fossils form. Apart from tools, our other great source of evidence is fossils. When some of our early ancestors died, their bodies were buried deep underground. Over thousands, even millions of years, these buried remains slowly turned to stone and became fossils. So together, tools and fossils are the two major sources that allow archaeologists to reconstruct human history. One shows us what humans made, the other shows us what humans were. Fossil defined. Let us define it clearly. A fossil is the preserved remains, traces, or impressions of plants, animals, or humans from the distant past. It forms when these remains get buried under layers of earth and very slowly harden into stone. So a fossil is like a stone photograph of a living thing from millions of years ago, nature's own record of life. Homo habilis. Now let us meet some of our ancestors by name. First, Homo habilis. The name means handyman or skillful person because he was a maker of tools. Homo habilis lived in Africa, especially in the famous Olduvai Gorge in Tanzania and Kenya around 2.6 million years ago, and made simple chopper stone tools. So Homo habilis is remembered as one of our earliest tool-making ancestors. Homo erectus as successors. After Homo habilis came their successors, Homo erectus, and these were more advanced. They invented hand axes and cleavers, better and more useful tools. And as we learned earlier, Homo erectus were among the first to migrate out of Africa, gradually spreading into Europe and Asia. So Homo erectus improved the toolkit and became the great travelers of the human family. Homo sapiens, complex technology. Now, all our ancestors were toolmakers, but it was Homo sapiens, our own species, who developed truly complex technologies. We did not stop at hand axes. We made bows and arrows, fine blades, beads, art, and much more. So the difference is one of degree. Everyone made tools, but Homo sapiens took toolmaking to a whole new level of skill and imagination. Let's explore skulls. Here, the textbook gives us a wonderful activity. Look carefully at the pictures of the skulls of different ancestors. What changes do you notice as you move from the oldest to the newest? Look especially for two things: changes in the shape of the skull and a gradual straightening of the face. This activity lets you see evolution with your own eyes. Skull A, Homo habilis. The first skull, labeled A, belongs to Homo habilis, who lived in Olduvai Gorge about 2.6 million years ago. Notice its features. This is our early tool-making ancestor who made simple chopper stone tools. It is the starting point of our skull sequence. Skull B, Homo erectus. The second skull, B, is Homo erectus, who lived in the eastern African Rift Valley around 2 million years ago. Remember, these were the inventors of hand axes and cleavers. Compare this skull with the first one, and you can already begin to notice changes taking place. Skull C, Homo neanderthalensis. The third skull, C, is Homo neanderthalensis, the Neanderthals, who lived in Europe and Southwest Asia until about 40,000 years ago. They made Middle Paleolithic flake tools. The Neanderthals were strong and clever cousins of ours, but they eventually died out, while our species survived. Skull D, Homo sapiens. And the last skull, D, is Homo sapiens, living humans. Out of all these species, we are the only human species still alive on Earth today. So as your eyes travel from skull A to skull D, you are witnessing the long journey that ends with you. Section 5. Periods of early human history. Why divide into periods? Children, early human history is a huge stretch of time, so historians divide it into smaller periods to study it more easily. And on what basis do they divide it? On the basis of technological progress. That is, the kinds of tools people used, the beginning of agriculture, and changes in their lifestyle and settlements. So these periods are really chapters in the story of human progress. Paleolithic, Old Stone Age. The first and longest period is the Paleolithic, or Old Stone Age. In this period, humans lived a hunting-gathering life and used simple, rough stone tools. This was the earliest way of life and lasted the longest. By far, the biggest slice of human history belongs to the Paleolithic. Mesolithic. Next comes the Mesolithic period, marked by the use of tiny stone tools called microliths. This is a transitional stage, a bridge between the old hunting-gathering life and the new farming life that was about to begin. So think of the Mesolithic as the in-between age. Neolithic, New Stone Age. Then comes the very important Neolithic, or New Stone Age. Here, humans made the great shift from hunting-gathering to agriculture and settled life. They began domesticating animals and using polished, smooth stone tools. This is the age when humans finally stopped wandering and started staying in one place, a massive change. Chalcolithic, Copper Stone Age. After the Stone Ages, humans discovered metal. The Chalcolithic, or Copper Stone Age, is when people used copper along with stone tools. This marks the start of metallurgy, the skill of extracting and shaping metal. So humans were now stepping out of the pure Stone Age into the Metal Age. Bronze Age. Next is the Bronze Age, when people developed bronze metallurgy, mixing copper and tin to make bronze, which is much stronger than pure copper. This age saw the expansion of trade, towns, and the first great civilizations. So bronze was not just a metal, it powered the rise of city life. Iron Age. Finally comes the Iron Age, marked by the widespread use of iron metallurgy, smelting and working iron. Iron gave people much stronger tools and weapons, and led to more advanced and powerful societies. So each metal age made humans more capable than the last. The Neolithic Revolution. Now, let me stress one term you must remember: the Neolithic Revolution. This is the name we give to the move from hunting-gathering to farming during the Neolithic period. We call it a revolution, not because it happened suddenly, but because it changed human life so deeply and permanently that it counts as one of the greatest turning points ever. Think about it. Why a revolution? So the textbook asks you to discuss, why do we call the shift to farming a revolution rather than a simple change? Talk about it with your classmates. Think about how farming forced people to settle down, build homes, store grain, form villages, and create new social rules. In other words, it changed everything about how humans lived. That total transformation is why we honor it with the word revolution. Section 6. Paleolithic hunter-gatherers. Meaning of Paleolithic. Let us break down the word itself, because it makes the meaning easy to remember. Paleo means old, and lithic means stone. So Paleolithic simply means the Old Stone Age. And keep in mind, the whole Stone Age is divided into 3 stages: Paleolithic, Mesolithic, and Neolithic, with the Paleolithic being the first and oldest. Oldest settlement in India. Now let us bring the story home to India. In the Indian subcontinent, the oldest known human settlement dates back to about 2 million years ago. Just imagine, humans have been living in our land for that incredibly long time. So India is not a newcomer to the human story. It is one of its very old homes. Attirampakkam and Isampur. Let me give you 2 important South Indian sites to remember. Attirampakkam in Tamil Nadu is dated to about 1.5 to 1.7 million years ago, and Isampur in Karnataka to about 1.2 million years ago. These 2 names are exam favorites, so note them down carefully as key early Paleolithic sites of India. Tools at these sites. At these sites, archaeologists found animal fossils along with large cutting tools. These included hand axes and cleavers, and other tools such as scrapers and choppers, made mostly of hard stones like quartzite and limestone. So these sites are like ancient toolboxes, telling us exactly what early Indians made and used. What the tools were used for. But what did they actually do with these tools? A very practical question. They used them to chop animal meat, dig out tubers, roots, scrape animal skins, and cleave, split, bones. And why split bones? To reach the protein-rich marrow inside, a valuable food. So every tool had a clear survival purpose. Nothing was made just for show. Figure 4.8, Map of Major Early Sites. Look at this map, children. It shows that early human sites are spread all across the subcontinent, from the far south to the northwest. Places like Attirampakkam, Isampur, Bhimbetka, Mehrgarh, and many more. The lesson from this map is simple but powerful. Early humans lived in almost every part of our land, not just one corner. Smaller stone tools. As time passed, humans became more skillful, and this showed in their tools. They began making smaller stone tools, scrapers, borers, and points. Smaller tools meant finer, more careful work, and these improvements greatly increased their efficiency in hunting. So progress in tools directly meant progress in survival. Projectiles with sharp points. Those sharp points were especially clever. They were used to tip projectiles, such as spears. A spear with a sharp stone point could strike an animal from a distance, making hunting safer and more successful. So this was an important step towards fighting and hunting from afar, instead of up close. Bow, arrow, and blades. Later, humans made another brilliant invention, the bow and arrow, along with parallel-sided blade and microblade tools. These were made from rocks with a glassy texture, which are extremely sharp when freshly made. With such weapons, humans could now hunt even small, fast-moving animals. So their hunting became far more advanced and varied. Symbolic communication and cave art. Now something truly special happened. Humans began to develop symbolic communication and art. They decorated the walls of caves and rock shelters with paintings, and used pigments, natural colors, to decorate their own bodies. This tells us that early humans were not only surviving, they were beginning to express ideas, beliefs, and beauty. The human mind was blossoming. First beads. They were also the first to make beads, from stone, bone, and shell. Now think about why this matters. Beads are for decoration, not survival. So the making of beads shows that early humans cared about ornament, identity, and perhaps status, signs of a growing culture. The burin, engraver. Here is a special tool to remember. The burin, also called an engraver. It was used to carve symbolic marks onto bones and shells, such as ostrich eggs. So the burin is proof that humans were engraving symbols and expressing ideas, another early sign of the human urge to communicate and create. Microblades and the spread of Homo sapiens. Those tiny microblades were cleverly fixed into handles to make them easy to use, an early example of combining parts to make a better tool. All these advances belong to Homo sapiens, our own species, who by now had spread across the entire world, including Australia and the Americas, between about 50,000 and 12,000 years ago. So by the end of the Palaeolithic, modern humans had truly conquered the globe. Section 7. Mesolithic hunter-gatherers. A warmer climate. Now we enter the Mesolithic. Around 12,000 years ago, a big change came over the Earth. The climate became warmer. The Great Ice Age was ending. And whenever the climate changes, the whole environment changes with it. So this warming set off a chain of events that transformed how humans lived. Forests and grasslands expand. As the ice melted, forests and grasslands spread into areas that had earlier been covered by thick ice sheets. Green landscapes appeared where there had once been frozen ground. And these new landscapes offered humans a wider variety of resources than ever before. Nature, in a sense, opened up a richer table for humankind. Population explosion. More resources meant more food, small game animals, fish, and edible wild grains. And more food meant that many more people could survive. This led to what the book calls the first ever population explosion in human history. So a warmer climate quite literally led to more humans on the planet. Microliths and fishing. To make use of all this new food, people developed a variety of microlithic tools, those tiny, sharp stone tools. With them, they could gather aquatic food, both from the sea and from freshwater. In fact, fishing became the mainstay, the main support of their economy. So the Mesolithic is very much the age of small tools and fishing. Art and rock shelters. During this time, art flourished, and people frequently lived in caves and rock shelters. So they left behind a rich artistic record on the walls where they lived. These paintings are precious to us. They are like a photo album of Mesolithic life, painted by the people themselves. Bhimbetka. The best example of this is Bhimbetka in Madhya Pradesh, which is a World Heritage Site. It contains hundreds of painted rock shelters, showing Mesolithic and even earlier human occupation. So whenever you think of early cave art in India, the one name to remember above all is Bhimbetka.
The Neolithic Revolution changed human life deeply. People began farming, domesticating animals, making pottery, storing food, and living in permanent villages instead of moving constantly.
Class 9 and 10 students, don't worry, make science and social science easy with your CBSE teacher. Subscribe now, like, comment, and press the bell.